Hey, good morning. All right, so today I'm going to show you how to make chicken and dumplings. It's really pretty simple. It just takes a while. So in front of me, you see the ingredients. We've got chicken here. Um, I cheated and I just went to the local store and bought a rotisserie chicken and I shredded about 2 cups of it. So I've got 2 cups of shredded cooked chicken. I've got my chicken broth, pepper, garlic powder, and what we call whop biscuits. That's a term Darren taught me because you have to whop them on the cabinet to open them. And actually, the cheaper biscuits like this in a can are what makes the best dumplings. So you want to get your ingredients together. And I don't have measurements for anything. I just kind of add as I go. So you just have to kind of eyeball it as you're cooking. So I am going to add my chicken and my broth into a large pan and I'm going to bring it to a boil. Okay, so I have brought my broth and my chicken to a low boil or a good simmer, and I've started adding biscuit pieces. And I want you to look at the biscuit pieces. Let me see if I can get one up there. How big they swell up when you're putting them in there. But don't worry about that because as they cook, they're going to start to shrink and they're going to make these perfect little bite-sized dumplings. So I'm going to come back over here. These are my biscuits. I've got 2 cans open. I've got 2 more to go. And I am going to use all 4 cans. You take each biscuit and you're going to pinch it in about 6 pieces. And they're not going to be big pieces. I'm a little blurry there. 6 pieces. And you'll just throw those into your boiling water or boiling broth and give it a stir. And like I said, they're going to swell up. That's normal, but then they're going to shrink back down into a dumpling. And right now I've got 2 cans of broth in there. I use the boxes, not cans. 2 boxes of broth with my 2 cups of chicken. And I'm going to add my 4 cans of biscuits. I have all 4 cans of biscuits in there, and I'm going to give them a stir. And if you look, you can see that these biscuits, they create their own sauce. Look at that. It's going to thicken on its own. You don't have to add cornstarch, flour, nothing. It creates its own broth. Now, you can see that with that amount of biscuits, that sauce is already getting pretty thick. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding more broth. This is kind of where you just have to eyeball it, see how thick your dumplings are getting. You're just going to want it to the consistency that's preferable to you. But from experience, I know this is going to end up too thick and would scorch before the dumplings get done. So I've opened a 3rd box of broth. And I'm probably going to put at least a half of it in right now. And then we'll just keep checking on it as it cooks. Give it a good stir. All right, now at this point, you can go ahead and add some of your seasonings. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. You don't want a lot because naturally you don't want hot dumplings. You'll just want some flavor. So I added a little bit of pepper. All right, and now this is kind of tricky. I've got garlic powder. Now, on the garlic powder, you have to be careful because you're adding just enough that you're going to get a little bit of flavoring in there, but not enough that you can taste that it's garlic. All right, so, and it really doesn't take much, but it does add just that little bit of extra flavor to your sauce or juice or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to add just the tiniest bit. Stir that in because you don't want your dumplings tasting like garlic, but you want good flavor in there. All right, I think I'm going to add a little bit more pepper. I'm not very speckledy. I like just a little bit more pepper. All right. All right, now you're kind of coming to your waiting game. You don't want to walk away from these because they scorch so easy. You want to keep them stirred from the bottom. Make sure it doesn't scorch. And then it's just a waiting game. You're going to let them slowly cook until all those biscuit pieces form nice little dumplings. Okay, I just wanted to check in and show you where we're at on our dumplings. I've got everything added in there, and I've continued to stir from the bottom of the pan, making sure that nothing is sticking and scorching on the bottom. But I wanted to point out, and I'm going to try to get close. I hope it turns out. I want you to look at the chicken pieces. When you first saw my shredded chicken, it was in good size pieces. I never worry about getting it finer because as it cooks, I hope you can see that chicken continues to separate. You see it there on my spatula? And it makes the finest little pieces of chicken, which are absolutely perfect in that sauce to your dumplings. And if you look, you can also see how those dumplings are shrinking. They're getting smaller. My sauce is about where I like it, so I'm going to keep just stirring from the bottom. And as I go, that chicken's breaking down more, and those dumplings will continue to shrink down a little bit more and continue making a good dumpling. All right, I do believe the dumplings are finished. So I did add a little bit more broth just to get the sauce where I wanted it. And remember how big those dumplings were when we first put them in there, how they swelled up? Look at these perfect little bite-sized dumplings. Isn't that perfect? Oh, they shrink down and they're absolutely delicious. One thing I want to note is when you're cooking these, do not add any salt. The dumplings get their saltiness from the biscuits. If you add any salt, they're going to be way too salty. But just using the biscuits, they turn out perfect.